To open Photoshop, go to Start and from the list of programs, click your version of Adobe Photoshop. I have Adobe Photoshop CS3. You might recognize the interface by now. Let's start by creating a new file. Go to the main menu on top, select File tab, then click New. A dialog box appears where we specify the details of the file. Put in a name here. Then we need to give the size of the width and height of the file in either of these units. Pixels, inches, centimeter, millimeter, points, picas or columns. But the default unit is pixels or the tiny squares that make up a digital image. Next, and very important, is the resolution of the image. Resolution is actually a count of the number of tiny squares, pixels in 1 inch of the digital image. If more clarity is needed, select a higher resolution. So, for print, a minimum resolution of 300 dpi or dots per inch is needed. But for web, a resolution of 72 dpi will be sufficient. Now to select the color mode. If you remember, we explained that the color mode will depend on how the final image will be used, whether for print or for viewing on a monitor. For the 72 dpi resolution selected, the color will become RGB, isn't it? The next box is by default 8-bit and it suffices most purposes. And the last box is background content. You remember we saw what layers are. Now in this box, we decide the color of a blank layer. It could be white. It could have the background color we choose. Or it could be transparent. Let's open the file. Oh, this is too small. No problem. Let's open another file. Now set the width to 640 pixels and height to 480 pixels and open. This is our work area and this is the canvas. This concept of canvas comes from painting on paper. The artist marks a work area and the rest of the paper in the canvas for rough work. This white area is where we draw using the tools from the toolbox. Let's see what the toolbox holds. I have a colorful image on my computer. Let's work on that. Here's our tool palette. There are 3 groups of selection tools: Marquee tools, Lasso tools and the magic wand. Let's see what the Marquee tool is. This dotted rectangle can be used to select a rectangle of any size in the image. Watch. Using this arrow can cut it out. But I don't want to, so undo it. This is for an elliptical selection. If you hold down the Shift key while dragging the shape, it will make a circle. When a thin line is needed, the single row tool is used. Let's see. Now this is my background layer, so it should not be worked upon. We could go to our blank file by pressing Alt-Tab. Now, watch how the single row marquee makes a line. From Edit in the main menu, select Stroke. And see, a horizontal line is drawn across the full width of the image. Now, for the vertical line, watch again. Let's change the width to 3 pixels. There it is, across the full height. Let's get back to our image file with Alt-Tab and select the lasso tool from the next group of selection tools. This is a free-form tool helpful when dealing with irregular shapes. Let's trace the boy's face. See a line forming. Continue tracing to the start and only then release the mouse. This will test your skill in controlling the mouse. You could easily replace this face with another face. Next is the polygonal lasso tool, and this doesn't require the mouse key to be pressed. Easier, isn't it? But the line isn't free form. It made a straight line, which makes it better for shapes with straight lines. Watch. It's easier to control the mouse in this tool and close the selection. The magnetic lasso tool is the last tool in this selection group. It makes a line between two areas of high contrast, like this. The next group has the tool Magic Wand. I can assure you it really creates magic. Watch. The moment you click on the image, it makes a selection of similar colored pixels, like this and this. The last selection tool is the Quick Selection tool. This is dependent on the brush size chosen, so let's choose well. And see the two options with the plus and minus sign. These add to the selection or subtract from it. Like this. This brings us to the end of selection tools. The other tools will be explained in the next few modules.